if I could call your attention to the southeast corner of the stadium. I am high school principal Mrs. Knapp, and I'd like to welcome you to Durand Area School's 127th graduation ceremony. First and foremost, on behalf of all the faculty and staff, Board of Education, and our superintendent, Mr. McCrum, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. This is a day that we thought would never arrive. Starting out 18 years ago, when these fine young graduates entered the world as babies, dependent solely upon their parents and families, to today, when many of us have had to become dependent upon our graduates for hope, perseverance, and an inner railroader grit to never give up. We have made it to Graduation Day 2020, despite any and all delays, cancellations, and closures. This is a day we truly celebrate the success and achievements of the class of 2020. Tonight's ceremony will be unique. Just like each and every graduate we are here celebrating tonight. As our graduates enter the field, we are going to have each graduate announce themselves as they beam with railroader pride on this, their graduation day. They will pass in front of the visitor side bleachers and then the home bleachers before taking their seat on the field. Please use this opportunity to take pictures of your graduate as they pass by. We do ask that you continue to social distance, and if you are up and moving about, please make sure you are using your face covering. We appreciate your cooperation and dedication to safety. We will be recording tonight's ceremony in order to upload for all to see on our school website. Without further ado, let's start honoring our class of 2020 graduates.
Shane Nicholas.
Riley Vandendries. Olivia Ayers. Hannah Johnson. Haley Zadunek.
Jake Lockhart. Kyle Winslow. Drew Jones. Nick Moore. Alan Cooney. Elijah Frary.
Clara Henry. Alicia Fredrickson. Jordan Morrish. Madeline Wickham. Isabel Coleman. Bailey Huff. Taylor Waterman. Elena Best. Madison McMillan. Cassidy Fleur. Caitlin Thayer. Kelsey Caldwell. Karen Thayer. Paige Tucker. Marlena Moretz.
Dean Cummings.
Elizabeth Grace. Michaela Semensky.
Nicholas Marakova. David Harris. Jackson Tillman. Christopher Clark. Gabe Fielder. Cooper Naiman. Robbie Burke. Ian Hagener. Dominic Dalrymple.
Nadia Taylor. Jasmine Day.
Madison Wint.
Matthew Forster. Avery Hopper. William Hubbard. Jesse Baker. Michael Hildebrandt. Austin Frizzell. Cade Frizzell. Stephen Clifford.
Brooke Jones. Faith Truth.
Curtis Slider. Chandler Cleveland. Jacob Wayne Mills.
Haley Molnix. Faith Guerreras. Christina Beden. Caitlin Dime. McKenna Osborne.
Tracy Slough. Jacob Feldos. Connor LaFaith. And then Ian. Chase Remington. Justin Reddy. Jalen Joe.
Maddie Dagan.
Calvin Newsom.
Mackenzie Cooney.
Elijah Johnson.
Autumn Johnson.
Kellen Ackerman. Seth Bruce. Gavin Cords. Ashton Baker. Tanner Milton. Remington Scripter.
Eden Strickland. Haley Caswell.
Mark Swarm. James Blaschick. Miller McGee.
Taylor Funk. Taylor Jolly.
Quentin Downer. Ethan Hansen. Caleb Pratt. Jeremy Gooch. Nicholas Compton.
Taylor Shannon. Keisha Kaup. Savannah Walker.
Wow, I think they heard me in Flint. Woo! Good evening, once again. My name is Shannon Knapp, and I have the honor and privilege to serve this class, this school. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Not going to do it. Okay. I've regained composure for the moment. All right. And this great community as principal of my alma mater, Durand High School. With an extreme amount of railroader pride, I want to welcome you, our guests, Superintendent McCrum, Board of Education members, and staff on behalf of the class of 2020 to the 127th commencement ceremony at Durand High School. Woo! An extra special thank you for joining us on this special occasion and adapting to all of our social distancing parameters. I would like to take a quick moment to remind everybody, please set your cell phones to silent if you have not already done so. Thank you for your cooperation. Before I begin, I'd like to take a few moments to recognize those individuals that helped make this ceremony for our graduates possible. Special thanks to Mrs. Shelley Washa, Mrs. Nicole Carpenter, Mr. Doug Dallas, Mrs. Cassie Maynard for all of their help this evening. I'd like to thank Dietrich's Flower Shop for the beautiful flowers that adorn tonight's stage. Thank you to Mr. Jim Nedemeyer and the entire grounds personnel and custodial staff for their efforts as well. The grounds look fabulous. I would also like to thank Allied Reynolds for the use of their chill tables this evening to keep our waters cold. Mr. Bill Young and Mr. Travis Young for providing the crystal clear and loud sound. Tonight would not be possible without all of your efforts. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you those individuals that are on stage with me. There aren't many of us up here, as we are social distancing and doing our very best to keep 6 feet apart. Again, thank you for everybody's cooperation. First, Superintendent of Durand Area Schools, Mr. Craig McCrum. And Durand High School's Academic and Student Services Coordinator, Mrs. Nicole Carpenter. We also have Durand Area Schools Athletic Director, Mr. Brian Carpenter, assisting us this evening, as well as High School Secretary, Mrs. Shelley Washa, and High School Counselor, Mr. Doug Dallas, located at the table down below. A COVID-19 necessary break in tradition, we have our board members seated behind our graduates today instead of on stage with us. Thank you, board members, for your eagerness to adapt to change so graciously. I would like to welcome each of them, including our Board of Education President, Mr. Zach Zadunik. Vice President, Mrs. Carrie Shepard. Secretary, Mrs. Blair Panchek. Treasurer, Mrs. Casey Fiebernitz. Trustees, Mr. Derek Huff and Mr. Jake Zadunik. Trustee Mr. John Dennis is unable to be here this evening, but sends his support to the class of 2020. Also seated down below is Senior Class Advisor, Mrs. Cassie Maynard, and I'm looking for her.
I'm right here.
Oh, right there. She's blending in right in the middle. She is doing the recording for us. She will be recording tonight's ceremony in order to share with all of those that cannot be here tonight due to the limits and guidelines of COVID-19. I would also like to thank the Durand Police Department for your help, especially Officer Alderman. Thanks to all of you for your dedication to our district. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge service in our United States military, both past and present, by first asking the students who are planning to enter the United States military to stand to be recognized for their bravery and willingness to serve their country. First, we have Bailey Huff. Bailey Huff has chosen to enlist in the United States Air Force. Congrats and thank you for your service. Please remain standing. Elijah Johnson. Elijah has chosen to enlist in the United States Marine Corps. Congrats and thank you for your service. And Brandon Putnam, who has chosen to enlist in the United States Navy and could not be with us tonight because he has already left to serve our country. Congrats and thank you, Brandon. While our two graduates remain standing, would those of you gathered with us today who have served or are currently serving in some capacity in the United States military, please stand too to be publicly recognized and thanked for your service. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. Before I turn the microphone over to our superintendent, Mr. Craig McCrum, I'd like to take a moment to let the class, here we go, all right, class of 2020 know what they mean to me, their principal. Get it together, Dad. All right, here we go. The class of 2020 has been unique and fighters right from the very beginning. The majority of you began life. It was in a world that had just endured the attacks of 9/11. An uncertain time for all of us, and you, the class of 2020, were just babies. You were protected by your parents and shown that there is nothing that you as an individual cannot endure and yet still conquer. An uncertain world at the time, yet you were certain to persevere. You progressed through your grade school years, learning more and more just how strong you were. Your senior year was here before you knew it, and it started strong. It wasn't until March 13th that you were tested again and found that inner strength that you were born with. What started out as 3 weeks quickly progressed into 4, then 5, then 6, and then your senior year at DHS was over before you knew it. Those same babies that were thrust into a world quickly after 9/11 now had to show the world once again what they were made of. Class of 2020, you have class. You have perseverance. You have grit. And you have an inner strength that you were born with that will carry you through any trials and tribulations that this world can throw at you. As a staff, as a community, as a family, and as your principal, I'm so very proud of you. You endured more disruptions, cancellations, closures, and losses in your last 8 weeks of school than anyone could ever imagine. For that, we are very sorry, but we could not be any more proud of the way you handled it. Congrats, class of 2020. You were born to persevere. At this time, I would like to present the class of 2020 to Durand Area Schools Superintendent, Mr. Craig McCrum, for the conferring of diplomas. Mr. McCrum has served as our superintendent since 2014. Please welcome Mr. McCrum.
Excuse me. Good evening, fellow railroaders. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for coming out tonight to support the graduating class of 2020. I would like to also maybe thank Mother Nature for relenting today and giving us this beautiful evening. I'd also like to say thank you to our parents, our grandparents, and guardians for trusting us with your children over all these years. Tonight is a culmination of all of our efforts. I'd also like to say thank you to one amazing high school principal, Miss Shannon Knapp. I challenge anyone to find a more caring, and dedicated servant to our students in school. And lastly, I'd like to say thank you to the rest of the administrative team and staff for pitching in to make this a memorable event and a defining moment for our graduates. So I'm going to have a short speech tonight, and the theme of the speech will be 3 spoons. I'm going to tell you a story in just a minute. Before I get deep into that, I'll give you the backdrop. Since March, we have collectively experienced the most challenging time in the history of American education. There has been adversity, many trials and tribulations, difficult decisions, heartbreak, lost memories and opportunities, and the list goes on and on. Nevertheless, something positive can be taken away from these experiences. Those who know me soon understand that I'm a sentimental person. I've always put great value on interpersonal relationships with friends and family, and the people I work with who become friends and like a family to me. When challenges arrive in my life, it is these people who I turn to for solace and support. So given all the adversity and uncertainty we have seen since early March, I've been thinking a lot lately about what keeps me grounded and those who are most important to me. This is where the 3 spoons come into the equation. So I'll explain. I'm a coffee drinker. 6 cups every morning to start the day, and then I'm done until the next morning. The night before, I make the coffee in the kitchen and set the delay switch so it's ready for me when I wake up. The pot is set to go off at 5:15 a.m. every day. There's comfort in that routine for me. There's also comfort there for me each night when I make the coffee, because there are 3 spoons that play a role in my comforting routine. It's rubbing off, Shannon. It's rubbing off on me. The reason there are 3 spoons involved is because I may be in one of 3 places when I make coffee. Either a place in Granville, my house here in Durand, or at the McCrum family cottage in Truefant on Rainbow Lake. Each spoon represents an important connection to family. The first spoon I'll discuss is in Granville's coffee jar. It is the only teaspoon left from 23 years ago when my wife Teresa and I were married and received everyday silverware for a wedding gift. We started with a set of a dozen of each utensil, and after 23 years and 3 kids, all but 1 teaspoon has disappeared. No, wait, we have utensils. We just don't have all the teaspoons. We have 1 teaspoon left from all those years. So I took it out of circulation, and now I keep it in my coffee jar where I use it nearly every day. It represents a reminder of my wife, our marriage, and I intend to use that spoon forever. It's now a symbol to me. The second spoon is in the coffee jar in our family cottage. That spoon is from my grandma Moyer, who has since passed as of a few years ago. My grandma was an incredible woman. She was strong, she was athletic, she was funny, she was very compassionate, she was a great listener. She was such an athlete, she won a state championship at high school as a pitcher, actually. And then she took up golf in her late 60s, and she was still breaking 50 way into her late 80s. She was an amazing person. So after she passed, I took one of her teaspoons and I plunked it into the cottage coffee jar. It's nice to think about her in the evening when I'm making coffee for the next day, and it's a regular reminder of our relationship and the years of time spent together at the cottage. And lastly, the coffee jar at my house here in Durand holds a spoon from my mom's set that I used in childhood. She doesn't even know I have it, but I use it every time I make coffee here in Durand. It's a regular reminder of where I came from, and it connects me back to her and my family. By now, it's pretty obvious what the spoons represent. They're symbols of important times in my life and the most important people in my life. No matter the adversity or challenge I face, I have the gentle reminder every night when I make coffee that I'm still connected to the people that I love. For all of you graduates, I wonder, what are your current spoons? Are you even cultivating spoons? You certainly had your share of challenges, adversity, trials over these last few months. Have you even taken stock of who or what is most important to you during these times. I certainly have. As one major chapter of your life comes to a close this evening, I encourage you all to put value on staying connected to the important friends you've made along the way during your time here in Durand, and also the family members who have been there for you all along. I'm here to tell you, it is the relationships that you build and maintain over time that makes for a meaningful and enriched life. As you head out into the world to start your own journey, you'll find that if you commit to friends and family and are giving of yourself, soon you will discover your own 3 spoons. I wish you nothing but the best in your journey and success in work, in family, and with friends. Thank you very much for allowing me to be your superintendent. Congratulations. Boy, part of me wish I'd have just skipped all that and just conferred the graduates. It would have been a lot easier on me. Okay, so let's do that right now. It's with great pleasure and honor that I certify these students seated before that have met all of the requirements established by the Durand Area School Board of Education and the state of Michigan. As superintendent of Durand Area Schools, I certify them for graduations, or for graduation. Congratulations, Durand Area High School class of 2020.
Thank you, Mr. McCrum. If I could now invite Mrs. Carpenter up to the microphone. She will be serving as tonight's roll caller. Thank you, Mrs. Carpenter.